Hi students, welcome back. It's Mrs. Lasky. This is week 3 of the IEW recap for ancient history. So this week we decided to jump into class with a review. I wanted to ask, how do you make a good title? This is very important when you're rewriting your keyword outline into your paragraph. You always leave your title for the last so that you can use a few words and 2 to 3 words from your final sentence. So that was the answer there. And then we wanted to discuss what is a who-which clause. And that is important because, oops, let me press this button really quick. Because a who-which clause adds more information to your already, oops, this is my thing I was trying to send, to your already good sentence, already created sentence, but it adds a little bit of information. So the gray cat, who was very fat, was named Tippy. Okay, do you remember the cat from last week? All right, so goals and assignments. Our goals for this week are written out for us on page 41 for parents and students. Our goals are to learn how to retell narrative stories. We want to be able to create a 3-paragraph keyword outline using the story sequence chart and write a 3-paragraph story from our keyword outline. Also, to practice our new vocabulary words, which are bellow, cordially, emerge, and vigorously. Those have a little bit more practice on page 48. So bellow is the wind, an example sentence is the wind bellowed in frustration when the man did not remove his cloak. Bellowed is to blow very hard. Cordially, the sun shone cordially, so nicely, cordially. The sun emerged from behind the clouds. Emerge is to appear. So emerge is that word. And then vigorously, the wind blew more vigorously, very strongly, or in a very strong way. Okay, ly adverbs. All right. So the story sequence chart, we're going to get to there in a minute. I want you guys to first turn to page 42 in your guides. This is going to give us some information about Aesop. So when we are doing this unit, which will be on this unit for 3 weeks, we are going to be listening to a lot of stories. I gave this example out in class, The Ant and the Grasshopper. And if you've ever watched the movie A Bug's Life, it's pretty much the story. Okay, so The Ant and the Grasshopper is attributed to Aesop, and Aesop is telling a story that's a fable. It's not real, but it tells a lesson. Okay, so we read this story. I will put it up in the file that you guys can download. I actually took a picture of it, which is right over here. So if we look over this and we read it, we're going to listen with our ears and read it with our eyes to get some information from the story. We're not going to be writing a keyword outline from every single line in that story anymore. We're going to be answering some questions and making our story from that retelling sequence chart. Okay, the sequence chart is on page 43. So let's read this together, and then you can see the keyword outline we made in class, and then I'll show you those really cool questions that you can ask. Okay, so The Ant and the Grasshopper. One summer day, a grasshopper was hopping about, chirping and singing to his heart's content. An ant passed by, bearing a long kernel of corn he was taking to his home. Why not come and play with me instead of working so hard? Asked the grasshopper. I'm helping store up food for winter, replied the ant, and think you should do the same. Why worry about winter? Said the grasshopper. We've got plenty of food at present. When the winter came, the grasshopper had no food because he found himself dying of hunger. Too late, he realized it is best to prepare ahead of times in times of need. So instead of writing a keyword outline, a few words from each sentence, we're actually going to be answering these questions. So on page 43, who is in the story? For our class, we figured out, if you look here, this is the retelling the narrative story. This is the sequence chart. You'll be answering all of these questions. So who's in the story? The ant and the grasshopper. What are they like? The ant is hardworking. The grasshopper just wants to hop around and have fun and play. When does it happen? It takes place in the summer, before winter, before the fall, before they have to store things up. Before they have no more access to food. However you want to describe that. Where do they live or go? Well, they live outside. Our keyword outline had, let me see here. I just added it in here. Ant lives in a colony, and in his home, the grasshopper is just jumping about. He's just moving around. And then the second thing that we came up with, I'm going to move this over here so you can see, we can compare what we made versus what the questions were. Okay, so in class, the next thing is the conflict or the problem. What was the conflict? Well, winter was coming. They needed, I don't know what that, they needed food. Maybe that was a grain of corn or a thing of corn that I put on there. The second one is, what do they need or want? They need food. The grasshopper doesn't worry. So grass G equals, and little bubble, it says doesn't worry, and is preparing. What do they say and do? So the grasshopper says, why worry? The ant says, I'm going to give advice and you should prepare. The ant is preparing. And then that last portion, the climax and resolution, we go through this and we say, how is the need resolved? So the grasshopper doesn't have any food, and the need is actually resolved by him actually dying of starvation. What happens after? It wasn't good. He dies. He realized that he should have prepared. The ant, we don't really hear much about the ant at the end of the story, but the ant is probably fine. It's full. They've survived. And in the last sentence, it says, what is the message or the lesson? The advice is to be prepared. And I don't know what that little face meant, but probably means it will keep you healthy and happy. And that's a really great little like moral to the story. So, and then remember, the title repeats 1 or 3 words from the final sentence. So our title possibly could be being prepared will keep you happy, or being prepared will help you survive, or some good advice, be prepared, something like that. Okay. So instead of writing a keyword outline from specific words in the story, you are going to answer these questions and create your keyword outline from the questions. Now we have an example in our work. It's on page 44. It's called The Wind and the Sun. This is your homework. You're going to read it. You're going to answer these questions and you're going to create a keyword outline. Then you're going to create a 3-paragraph essay or story and bring it to class on next Thursday. Now, because we're going to be working for a long time on this, 3 weeks, if only getting through the keyword outline this week is all you can do, or getting as far as you can do, or just reading the story and coming to class and we can go through it, then that will be a really great way for us to talk about what we've done in this new narrative unit. Okay, story sequence chart. We're going to be working on this for a while, and by the end, you're going to be a pro at being able to tell what's going on in that story. Okay, you guys. So just wanted to update you guys and give you some little tidbits on what to do. Don't forget those vocab words. Don't forget to read your source text and bring together to class whatever you can get done and how far you got through this lesson. Okay, see you Thursday.